Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And we are back with Julie Laughton. Excited to have her here, our amazing professional from California. And again, she's here as a CEO, as a designer, hands-on general contractor. She has interior designer, many roles. Let me have her introduce herself. How are you today?
Hello, I'm Julie. I'm very good. It's Thursday morning. I'm excited to get through another week nonstop.
Let me guess, you're on the road, you're on a job site working, right?
Yep, I am. And I've been going to 3 or 4 this morning. I still have 2 more to go. So yeah, on a roll.
Oh, good. For those new listeners today and viewers, would you mind just sharing a little bit about what your one-stop shop has to offer, Julie?
Well, I'm a designer who provides the architecture and the interior design, the custom kitchens, and I have 5 engineers that work with me to build custom homes and do your remodel. And then I submit all the plans to the city, and I actually then pull the permit as the contractor and run the job personally as the contractor. So it's me from day one to day end.
And what areas are we working in?
I love Laguna Beach and Newport Beach, but it's really along the coast. So Laguna and Corona del Mar and Balboa Peninsula, a little bit of Newport coast, but it's right along the water. Everybody can see the ocean.
Now, have you ever lived anywhere else but California? I forgot where you're originally from.
Oh, yeah. I'm from Iowa. I'm from a small little town in the northwest corner, which is all farming and Irish and German and Scottish, English. And my hometown is Lamar, is Lemars, and it's the founding fathers' 7 wives' first initials of their names. So it's kind of neat. The town was named after the 7 founding fathers who were English guys, and they had like jumping horses, the English writing thing going on, real formal. It was so weird. That was how it was in the 1800s. But anyway, and then after college, I went to New York City for almost 10 years and lived there in the best times of New York City in the 80s.
But now let me ask you, would you change it anywhere else? Is this where you want to be? I mean, I've only visited your town and your neighborhood. It's gorgeous, but why would anyone want to live anywhere else but? Really?
That's just it. Beautiful. The weather's better. It's healthy. The weather's better. It's really nice. Southern California, there's something about it. And it's easy access. I can fly anywhere in, a nonstop flight. So, I can get around very easy. But I do like the climate, and I'm happy right here. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here. And let's talk more about, first of all, the website. How do we contact you? Oh, we might have a freeze. It happens. We're on a live Zoom. Julie Laughton, I'll spell it Julielaughton. And again, as a general contractor, one-stop shop, as she says, she'll customize your whole house, interior, inside out. We're talking custom kitchens. We're talking managing of city submittal process. She's going to help you with all those permits. And again, she's got 5 engineers that work under her, but she's here on the road today. Can you hear me now? All right, we may have lost her. It happens sometimes. We'll take a quick break and hopefully we'll get Julie back.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-386-9945.
Hello, welcome back. There we go. We got Julie Laughton back on the line.
Thanks a million.
Perfect. All right. So I was just asking how we contact you. I gave out your website. And what did you want to discuss for today? I mean, there's so much to the work you do. What did you have in mind?
Well, I was talking about, I have a lot of jobs I get referred to because people are dropping the ball because they're not communicating. And a lot of contractors maybe get in over their head, or maybe they don't have plans that work. So I was going to talk about, is your contractor driving you crazy? Is your architect too slow? Because there's all this stuff that happens in every project, and it's not just anyone's fault, but it's a lot of frustration when you go to remodel or build a custom home. So if you're in it, I bet you 50% of the people in it are having some issues. I was going to talk about that.
Always. I don't know anyone, honest, that everyone always complains about their contractor, about the time, about this, about the expectations. And I'm always like, well, don't you have a meeting in the beginning? Don't you have a writing what's expected on both ends, both? And some people say, no, we just talked about it.
That's,
We just, but so
that's, that's,
advice to people out there. Go ahead.
here's the deal in contracting. Nothing is verbal is legal. So you have to have everything in writing, but in the contractor's defense, if he doesn't have a set of plans with everything specified and picked out before you start, you're asking for trouble, because if you make your contractor your designer and start asking him for help for paint colors and moldings and cabinets, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for cost changes, change orders, because you can't just go along and pick stuff after he starts work, the contractor. So the due diligence here is to do yourself a favor and find an architect or a designer, or both, because you kind of need both,
Yep.
to do the plans with everything specified in writing. Like, seriously, pick out everything, the cabinet knobs, everything. So when you start your construction, your contractor has a piece of paper to look at, which is the plan that he can bid off of, and then that bid matches the plans. And hey, life is simple. But seriously, that is my secret.
So first and foremost, yes, everything in writing. That's right. Because you hear all those the lawsuits of people taking their contractors to court, not following through, but it's got to be in writing. And what about, how do you find the right contractor? I mean, what do you have to look for? What are the important things?
Well, the thing is, when you meet a contractor, you actually have to meet them. You got to meet them in person. And if you get along, the personalities mesh. Just like your designer and your architect, humans have to get along. So that's first, but then really seriously, you have to go see his work, because don't just let him tell you what he does. See it, because he might think I do really good stuff, and then you see it and you're like, oh my God, you need to see the quality in person. And seriously, talk to other people he's worked with, because reputation is all that matters at the end of the day. Is how people felt after they're done working with a person. It's the feeling they are left with. So that's the big thing. It's just don't listen to the talk, follow through and actually see it and talk to people.
And I mean, how do you know if someone's even licensed? Think about it. People can say they're licensed contractor, but how do you know? Don't people lie about that all the time?
All the time. And this is the deal. What kills me about homeowners is they trust because maybe someone's referred, but then you find out the dirty little secrets later. Oh, his license lapsed. Oh, he doesn't really have liability insurance. Oh, he has no workers' comp. Oh, that guy that just fell off the ladder. Guess who's paying for it? The homeowner. So yeah, you got to do that due diligence too, and do the little background search and really see, just for due diligence, check their license and insurance, because it's on you if you don't.
And it's important that they do offer up, or you ask to talk to past references, correct?
Oh yeah, you got to talk to people, because it's how you make people feel at the end of the day. It's not, and then of course it's what you do in the quality level, because depending on what you're paying, you got luxury, high-end, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, you got Cadillac, you got Toyota, whatever. But you got to know what you're paying for and understand the quality, so you know there's no surprises. That I do all solid wood cabinets. I've never dreamed of giving melamine, and some contractors think high-end is melamine, but it's not. So there's a whole thing about that. Know what you're getting.
Got it. All right. What other advice? I mean, what are some of the mistakes that people make? Now, what if you do all the due diligence, you have everything in writing, but there's still an issue? How does it work from there?
Then you got it. Yeah, well, you call me and I'll advise you, because a lot of the issues deal with personality and communication. So if it's in writing, you can't really have a problem. And if you have samples and you see everything and you see the quality in advance before you pay, then you never have a problem, right? But if there's a communication thing and the guy's never showing up, or he's missing meetings, or you can't get a hold of your architect, or you can't get a hold of anybody, and they just aren't servicing you like your 5-star service you want, then that's a whole nother, maybe they have problems, and then you got to deal with their personal problems, which is a nightmare. So let's hope that's not the case. But professionalism is communication, and that's where it starts.
All right. Julie Laughton here joining us again. Remind us how we can reach you.
You can always go to my website, julielaughton.com, or my podcast website, julielaughtonliving.com, and just Google my name, JulielAughton.
What else did you want to make us aware of as the potential, a homeowner that's hiring the contractor?
Well, the contractor could be the victim too, because if you hire an architect and a designer that's not doing their job and not describing things on the plans or drawing plans that can't be built, and then drawing plans that cost a fortune structurally. So my advice is to bring the contractor in with the architect early on and get the designer involved. So, because the architect draws the building, and then he relies on a structural engineer to build the building with plans. But what's missing is the interior designer picking all the stuff, the floors, the cabinets, the paint colors. All that needs to be kind of discussed up front. But if you bring your contractor in early, then you kind of control what happens with the plans and the costs with no surprises. So I can't stress enough, pre-construction consulting with your contractor. Nobody does it. You got to do it. And it's separate from the construction contract. So it's another step in one of my 7 steps.
That's right. Tell us about your 7 steps. Do you have this guide? Explain it to us.
Okay, the 7 steps is, you start with, don't buy the house, don't buy the lot until you look at it with other people, like your architect, your engineers. So what's the soil like? I mean, what's it going to take to go through the city to get permits on this house? Where's it located? I mean, coastal commissions takes forever if you're on the ocean. But before you buy your house or your property, do a pre-site meeting with architects, engineers, and research what it takes for the city for permits, and then talk to your contractor what he thinks it'll cost to build it. And then, of course, the next step is to hire your design team, which is your architect, your interior designer, your custom kitchen designer, your engineers, or just one designer like me that does it all and has their engineers. But then that plans get done according to your specifications of how you live and what you like. It's a whole process. It's huge. And then you submit the plans to the city. But while the plans are submitted to the city, you should be reviewing this with your contractor, which is the next step, pre-construction, and finalizing the plans and making sure they work and you can actually afford to build this with the structural engineers proposed. Because that part, I do that up front because it's me doing both. And so I can tell people, hey, this is better than that way, and this is more expensive, so watch out, here's your option. So I do that right away because I can, but most people have to wait till the contractor comes in to tell them the price. So pre-construction is the 4th step. And then, of course, when that's all done and you get a contract and everything's on the contract, hopefully, then you build it. So that's 5. And then after you build it, you get your last 2 steps, which is, move in, do your warranty, and then the lifetime maintenance, and which is love your home, maintain it, and have someone looking at it 3, 6, and 1 year out, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year out, lifetime maintenance. So that's my 7 steps, and it's on my website. But it's a process, and it starts with research, and then ends up with loving your home and maintaining it.
Maintaining it. That's got a whole nother issue. My goodness. Have you been in situations where you built these beautiful homes and then all of a sudden you go back years later and you're like, what happened?
It just happened last summer. So I had a client, I had 9 jobs on one street on the Balboa Peninsula, and one of them decided to leave their windows open for 6 years and because they didn't want to use their air conditioner because it's beautiful. And they didn't tell me that maybe the paint's chipping. So I get there 6 years later, there's no paint on the inside of the windows. The hardware is rusting. And I'm like, oh my God. And the gutters are leaking because they didn't clean them. And there's a slope issue. And then they were rusting. And I'm like, oh my God. And, and so they waited so long. So now the cost to repair all this is thousands of dollars instead of what it could have been $1,500 a year touch up. Now it's $50,000. So I mean, I'm telling you, it's overwhelming how much needs to be done to help. But they waited, and I'm like, they said, oh yeah, we'll handle it. They didn't, and it was just paint touch up. It could have been avoided. So yeah.
Interesting. And what type of projects do you have running around today? Anything you want to share?
I have a beautiful job on the Peninsula Point, which is it's called Camel Point Laguna, and I just love the stories. This house is owned by the grandchildren of the original owner who had the house in 1930s, a Spanish Mediterranean style house. It was one of the first houses in Laguna on this little point on the bluff. And then they sold it because they got older and sold it to a lady that was very successful with In-N-Out Burger. And then she got rid of it, and the grandchildren brought it back. So the grandchildren, yeah, isn't that neat? So they kind of watched it because they didn't have control of when the grandparents sold it because they were just toddlers, or I don't even think they were born yet. So they followed it, and the new owner had torn down the grandparents' house and built a new, modern, magnificent home. So we're in there restoring it because they're in there now, and they're in their midlife. The grandkids I think they're in their 50s. So it's so neat because they got it back and they love it. And it's just a beautiful location, and it has such a history for Laguna Beach. So that's one of them. And then I have 12 other things going on.
And when you say restoring, could you just share a little bit? Now you said they knocked down the original Mediterranean, they made it into a more luxurious home. And now do they want to make it back to a Mediterranean style look?
No. They're going to keep this beautiful modern stone structure. And what it is, the modern stone structure is all those metal black windows. You know how those black metal windows are really popular?
Yes.
So it's got black metal windows, but hey, it's on the ocean. So the metal is pitting a little bit, so we have to restore the metal. But some of it, yeah, and nobody maintained it. See, no maintenance. So instead of painting it every year, the places that weren't painted, that the rust got in too deep, those windows right on the ocean, we had
or replace.
Yeah, we're gonna sand all. We're gonna replace the oceanfront ones because those are toast. But we're gonna sand and patch the other ones that aren't rusted through. So it's just maintenance on the metal windows and refreshing the cabinets and a couple other little minor things. But it's a good chunk of change to get it done. But the house is worth right now $30 million. So it's the location down here. Laguna, the prices have changed because the market's amazing. But when you're on the water, the house's pricing changed. So
of course,
it's kind of amazing. Yeah, so it's a stunner. It's all about the location.
Of course it is. My goodness. And so when I make my trip down, I have a friend out there with my kids. So I'm going to come look you up. I'm going to say, can I come visit you on a job site? Could I see one of these homes, please?
Yes, yes. You can just on my website, and they're all on there, and you just pick one, or you can just follow me to all of them. I can do the whole thing in an hour.
I love it. Thank you so much, Julie. All right. We still got plenty of time. We got 10 minutes actually to talk. And I know you got to get to your job sites. What else in particular do you want people to know about the work you're doing? Julie Laughton, obviously, amazing. The one-stop shop. I mean, to me, that sounds like a clear choice. Why would you go to A, B, C, D only for it to get misconceptions? Like they gave a telephone, right? When you're dealing with each one separately. But,
it's insane to me because still today, 30%, it used to be 50%, but 30% of my calls because someone on the team dropped the ball or just took the client on a path they didn't want to go on. So, if you don't hire me, you're going to hire an architect, an interior designer, a space planner, a custom kitchen designer, a structural engineer, a civil engineer, a soils engineer, a survey engineer, a Title 24 engineer, and a licensed contractor and a landscape architect. That's 11 people. I mean, I didn't count it again, but it's over 10 people. Okay, so that's a lot of management of people. And when you have a really great team, they don't work together automatically. You have to do the follow-up. So it's exhausting. And the architect might take a little bit of the lead, but then the contractor gets involved, and then the designer is off on a tangent usually on her own mission because she's doing another whole scope that relates to the architecture, but it's different. So I don't know. I just think it's easier to work with one person, but I stress women get into this business because project management of all this is key, so that's a job in itself. Even if you're not a licensed GC or an architect or an interior designer, you could be just a project manager and help people that way. So that's kind of what I'm pushing for women in construction. Get into construction or get into the whole enchilada where you're managing the whole thing for private residential. And the other thing is managing their lifetime maintenance. That company itself, that's a gold mine. If you ever want to get into lifetime maintenance and property management, it's endless, the amount of work that needs to be done and serving customers, especially at the high end level on the water. It's because the maintenance is, monthly on the water. So that's my preaching about the endless opportunity for women in construction and men. there's so many facets to this business that you could get into, but project management and lifetime maintenance are two of the tops.
Wow. And just for someone who's new to the show today, how did you as a woman get involved in this business? Would you mind sharing?
Well, I was in school for architecture, landscape architecture and interior design, and I ended up with a degree in design, and I never got licensed as an architect because I didn't need it for what I do for a living, and because I have my engineers. So what happened is my first job is New York City, standing in the dirt with the 5 top developers guys working on the plans, making the plans work by measuring them and talking to the contractor. So since day one, I've been in the dirt with the builder and the contractor, and I've never actually changed my role, working on the plans, fixing the plans, making it buildable, and then overseeing the installation of the design elements and the architecture. So I've been doing the same thing for 40 years now, but I fell into the contracting after I left New York, because after I worked with all these wonderful professional contractors and came to residential, I couldn't stand it because the residential market isn't as professional. There's a lot of guys that maybe rather surf or do something else, actually show up to work. So it's a difference. So I became the contractor. Save my stress. I became the contractor to help the client and save my brain, because I was like, I can't work this way. I need it to be professional. So I changed my world and my client's world by becoming the contractor after all those years of design experience.
And do you have a lot of women on your team as well? I know you have a team of engineers and.
Yes, I do. All my engineers are men, but they have girls in the office, and all of the engineers have a woman in the office, and we always have fun talking. And all the girls at the city counter are girls and women, and so we really have fun. But my team, I have Ashley, Veronica, Jamie, and Tara right next to me. So there's 4 women right around me, all in their 30s. What's funny is all the employees I have are the ages of the children I never had.
You would never know, guys, if you're on the Zoomcast. She looks beautifully young, so please. Oh, you would have started young. My goodness.
I would have started at 18 and they'd all be 35 or whatever, right? So, I'm 61. I don't mind telling my age,
Well, you look amazing. I know I'm 45. I tell everyone, I'm like, it is what it is. When I'm 80, I'm going to be 80. I'm not going to change it. But I love, that's also a mindset. I know women are so weird about that. And then, do you know my boyfriend, or now kind of ex-boyfriend, when I first met him, he's like, I'm 50. I'm like, okay, you look older. I Google you. It says you're 60, and he was 10 years older. But like, why lie? Like, why?
I know a lot of guys that shave off 5 to 10 years, and it's why are you bothering to? Don't you realize if you lie to a woman, then you're out the door, because that's one of our rules with women, right? So they kind of don't get it. They're dealing with women. Well, don't lie.
Just curious, what if the guy gives you an engagement ring and tells you it's 5 carats, $100,000, but then you find out it's a lab grown diamond only worth like $3,000? Is that a good guy?
You go back, you put it back in his hand, and you tell him goodbye, and you drive away as fast as possible. You leave skid marks and get the hell out of there. I mean, I don't understand.
We'll talk. Just, I know. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
I'm telling you, when I was married before, and I wasn't thinking clearly because I was a career girl, but I had a divorce party, because you have to celebrate when you figure it out that you made a huge mistake, and then you learn from it, but you celebrate that. Don't see.
I've never been married. I had my first kid all by myself. The second one, I'm basically by myself. So I've never mastered the relationship department. Still can't. I had the career and all. Now I'm just a mom, and I work full time too. But it's not. I'm not doing what I used to do. But I changed gears. But it's like, I haven't figured that part of my life out yet.
Well, here's the deal. I didn't figure it out either, and I got happily married at 50. So when you get ready and you start to visualize the guy you want, and then if you really want it, the guy's going to walk in the door one day. And if you don't visualize what you want, you won't recognize him. So I just really stress, if you really want it, he will show up, but you got to be ready. Because when I did my first marriages, I wasn't ready. And I thought it would just work out magically, and I wasn't committed or available, or, I was a workaholic. So,
But look, this is amazing. We got Julie Laughton here, this amazing Orange County contractor, designer, engineer, architect, all in one, right? And Julie Laughton's also giving me relationship advice. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate this. This is a real conversation.
There's hope. I got seriously happily married at 50 years old. My husband is 50. We're both born in 1962, and we look back at our lives, and our lives paralleled each other of when we were divorced and married and divorced prior was the exact same time.
Wow. All right. I still have hope and belief. And
you do. Yeah.
I do. All right. Well, we got to talk more, but if someone wants to reach out to you for a consultation to get that restoration done, which we just learned so much about this maintenance, hello, especially all you on the water there on the West Coast, Julie Laughton's a one-stop shop. Tell us how we can reach you.
Just go to my website, julielaughton.com, and it's JulielAughton, and all the information is right there for you to click a button.
Love it. Thank you so much, Julie. I'm going to be on vacation next week, so I don't know if you're in. You might be with someone else.
No,
I'll miss you.
Nope, we're going to skip and go move to the next week when you get back. So we have a week off, and I'll see you when you get back from your beautiful vacation. And tell me all about it.
I will. Me and the kids are going to Aruba, and I'm taking my sister and her 2 kids and her husband. So I'm the single one with the kids. It's fine. It's just a family trip. Fun thing.
You're going to have a beautiful time with a beautiful place to go. Oh, my gosh.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Julie. Pleasure seeing you. Great show today.
I
love it. Live from the car. Have a great day. Bye, hon.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.